Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Life Chronicles and Deep Dives podcast. I'm here with Coach Cornelia, and she is in.
In Romania, but in a different city than my own.
Oh,
So
all right. Well,
I'm
you're
in the first
traveling out now.
city. I'm in the first city in the world who started to extract oil.
Oh, that's pretty
Mhm.
cool. I
Yeah,
see that you're not hanging out in a virtual library anymore,
not
right?
not
You
anymore.
got a nice little painting up there.
Yes,
Well, it's
this
going to be
hotel
over
has.
there on the
Yeah.
podcast up there, but
hmm
we've got ourselves situated vertically. It just makes
Yeah.
it easier. But when you guys see it in the podcast, we'll either be, on either side of each other. But anyway,
Mhm.
you're out there for a tournament. You're doing a tournament or something.
Yes. hmm
Excellent. Well, I
Yeah,
hope
we haven't
everything
been
is
at
going good.
home in like we haven't been at home in for like 5 weekends now, so we're always on the road.
Wow. That's pretty good. I mean, I guess, as
Mhm.
long as your daughter's getting, some practice in and she's winning and it looks like she is. I've seen it on the internet.
Yeah.
Um, and that's good. That's great. I mean, I think chess is a very good strategic game, builds
Mm,
neural pathways. Like, you can
very.
learn a lot about somebody, I guess, by their chess playing style and all that. So, well, everybody, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and then check out the links in the description box below for our website. And please don't forget to leave some comments. We love engaging with you guys, and if you leave a comment, we can engage with you guys, later on down the road, and then answer any questions you guys have. We love to argue, so go ahead and leave a comment, argue with us. It's fine. And that's the whole point of this podcast, is so that way we can have these conversations, and get out there. But remember to be nice. Please be nice. No foul language. Try to keep it, at least PG-13 if we're going to argue. Today we've got some interesting topics. We're going to try to move through them. It might be a little bit longer than normal, just because there's a couple heavy topics. But at first, I wanted to bring up something that I saw. I think it was a few days ago, and we had been talking about it in the last episode where Cornelia was hanging out in the library about Bovaer and like how, Bill Gates funded this huge influx of food additives that's supposed to make cows stop farting, and it's supposed to reduce, emissions and all this climate change crap, literally climate change crap. Um,
Mhm.
I guess Sweden is, stopping the use of Bovaer. I guess Norway is canceling their trials, and that's after, several hundred videos have come out of Denmark of cows like collapsing, dying, getting sick, or not producing milk.
hmm Do you remember when you first sent me these videos with the cows and I told you that the Nordic countries are gonna do something about it because they're not taking this shit. Even though they might try to sometimes, but if the population is directly affected, they're gonna stop the program. So I guess Denmark is gonna be the next one who's gonna stop the program for
Yeah, I
sure.
mean, I think that's great because
Been a
any like
nonsense anyway from the beginning. It's a nonsense to try to stop the cows fart.
yeah, I
It's
mean, why would you mess with nature? I mean, this goes into like climate change. Like they funnel all this money into these climate change programs, and they're somehow going to be able to stop hurricanes, wildfires, tornadoes, thunderstorms, wind blowing. They're gonna
Mhm.
stop the dew in the
Yeah.
morning. Volcanoes. They're going to stop it all. Tectonic plate
Yeah.
shifting. It's all going to end with their
Mhm.
climate change. Funding. But at the same time, the health of humans is also at stake. And when you start introducing stuff into the food supply, obviously it's going to mess up. Um, it's going to get carried on. It's like energy that's passed, right? We get energy from the sun. We've talked about it. It gets down through plants, and then we eat the plants, or our meat eats the plants, then we eat the meat, and it's just passed. Same
Mhm.
concept. You introduce a chemical into the food supply, it gets passed along to the person, human that's eating it. And then what happens with babies? What happened, is it messing with the genetics? Is it messing with, anything? Could it, I mean, are humans going to stop producing breast milk, or, whatever? They don't know, right?
You
Uh,
know, Mike, I remember I after we talked about it, I remembered about um one of my aunts. She's been in the hospital, had a surgery, and then the doctor was not letting her go home. And she asked him, "Why aren't you sending me home?" And he said, I'm just waiting for your first fart after the surgery." It's so important. So even though we don't realize, but it's so important. If it is important to humans, it's very important to animals as well.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, you've got to be able to pass, gas or,
Yeah.
push. It's basically like a waste of
Mhm.
something, you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
bacteria producing, gases or,
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever. It's got to come out somehow, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
it's better out than in, as my grandmother always used to say.
Mhm.
Which brings me to my next topic, and I mean, this is short because I didn't want to stay too much on Bover because we've talked about
Just
it.
an
And
update. Yeah, just an
yeah, just
update. Hmm.
um horse meat.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. We're getting into it. This is going to be interesting because when I was a kid, I watched this episode. Oh, I've watched all the episodes of a TV show called All in the Family, and it's got Archie Bunker and Edith and Meathead and Gloria. And I don't remember which person it was. I think it was Gloria got horse meat or Mike got horse. No, I think it was Mike. Or sorry, Gloria. Gloria got horse meat at the store or got from a butcher or something. And they were going to cook it as steaks, but they had to hide it from Archie. And Mike's like taunting Archie about it. And Edith's like freaking out because she doesn't want Archie to find out. And then, and obviously Archie's going to find out. And then, it's just a huge laugh, right? Apparently, it is not illegal to consume horse meat in the United States. It's just illegal to process it for consumption to, you know what I mean? So like all the steps up to eating it are illegal, I believe, but eating it itself is not illegal. So
Mm.
you told me something. I wanted to ask you about it. How does Europe feel about horse meat?
What did I tell you? I forgot.
You said that you have horse meat for sale that you can buy and eat.
Yes, I mean, it's not in the store,
Okay.
but you can buy it from the people who are raising horses.
Okay.
So in Denmark, I was sitting at a table with a lot of people around me, Danish people, and they were talking about how much they love horse meat. And I was in shock because I've never heard about it in Romania. But then I found out that in Romania they're eating the horse meat as well. So they kill the horse, they're preparing the meat, they're making salam, or what is it called? Like, that's how it is called in Europe. Salami? I don't know how it's called
Oh yeah,
in.
yeah. We have yeah, salami,
Okay.
but yeah.
Yeah. And all kinds of things. And they're just selling it, let's say, to the neighbors, to the friends in the city, if it's a smaller city, and so on. Not illegal, but you're not gonna find it in the shops.
Okay, so not mainstream.
No.
Okay. But is it socially acceptable to eat horse meat?
In Romania, it's not for sure.
Okay.
But in Denmark, it's very normal between the farmers.
Okay.
So the farmers are just, it's a normal food they have.
So in America, the reason why it's actually not allowed or illegal is because the American culture around horses, right?
Mm,
Has there's two reasons. One's the culture, right? So Americans eating horses probably not going to happen to a mainstream degree, right?
mm,
But the second one is that the USDA hasn't really come up with a way to like regulate it like cows. I mean, I'm assuming that they could regulate it the exact same way that they could regulate cow, processing for consumption.
mm,
They just don't have the steps in place or the manpower or whatever. They just don't have something available to be able to do it. The main issue is the stigma. Like if they were to start producing it, who would eat it? And this is why I brought it up. Bovaer, right, which is tax the cows, which maybe they're trying to like reduce cow population. We talked about this. Like that could have been they can't go after killing cows. They instead produce a feed that kills
mm.
the cow. Um,
Yes.
what happens if that creates like a food crisis
Mm,
across the globe, right? Let's say if they started introducing more stuff for climate change, or they want to reduce cows in the United States. I believe they want to reduce cows. Where would we go for protein?
they killed a lot of cows in Holland, so yeah.
Yeah,
From the artificial meat they are selling, trying to sell in the stores, and no one is buying it.
yeah. I mean, so they're trying to go to this artificial meat, but what
Mm,
about horse meat. Horse meat's like lean. It doesn't have like a abundance of fat. I mean, I don't know if you've never seen a fat horse, but they're usually pretty lean, muscular uh animals. So well, my thought is it's a lean protein. It's got to be good. I mean, it may not give you your daily requirement of fat if you're eating just horse meat, but
Mhm.
it's a lean meat. You could have you could easily breed horses. You can easily, just mimic the cow processing inspection, and then you could have another like lean protein source to fill in the gaps, but they don't want to do that. I don't think they want to do that.
I think the horses are farting as well.
I believe they're
So,
farting it.
no, what I see is that, when we talk about this change in the world, climate change and so on, we only talk about this part of the world, the western part of the world, because
Mhm,
the eastern part of the world just doesn't care. They just mind their businesses and they're just living life. They're not
mhm.
getting into these ideas with what about the cows? So if they were to kill the cows, it's gonna be only the cows in the western countries. The eastern countries are gonna eat cows and everything else, pork and so on.
I mean,
Yeah.
unless it's India, but yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, China, Russia, like, I mean, all these other
Australia.
countries are not
Mhm.
going to abide by
Mhm.
this
No.
net zero crap and try
Mhm.
to like
Mhm.
kill off a food supply.
No,
Uh,
never.
right. I mean, in a survival situation, would I eat a horse? Yeah. I mean, if they had horse to buy at the store, would we be buying it? If they had it at the store, it would have been normal for us to
Mhm.
be buying it, right? They're like, I mean, they could have erased the stigma of eating horse a long time ago.
Mhm.
But they haven't. And so that makes me wonder if we have this protein source that we could go to that's not bugs, that's not lab grown meat, why haven't we done it? And the only thing I could think of is that they don't want us to have like a natural lean protein source. They want us on like, processed foods with chemicals that make us lazy and fat, they, messes with our brain waves or sleep. They want us on their lab grown meat so that way they can say, oh, net zero, blah, blah, blah. And maybe their lab grown meat doesn't reduces human farts, and then they could say, "Oh yeah, we're yeah, we're working towards net zero because we are not, producing cows." Don't mind my hand moving here. I'm just we're
Yeah,
just
but
I'm just
what about
passionate I'm passionate
what
about it.
about the Eastern countries? Because they're much more than we are, and they're
Mhm.
farting so much, so they cannot change this. So when
Yeah.
when we talk about these things that they want to change, it's just for the Western countries. We always have to think about the climate change in terms of like general, like the planetary situation, right? So if
Hmm.
we make a change here, like many of them said, we're gonna make a small change here and maybe then a small change there and so on. Okay, that's only in the Western countries. The Eastern countries are not making any change. They just don't care about it. It's not on their agendas. So I
Hmm.
don't see how it's gonna affect anything.
Hmm.
Oh, I
I
told
mean,
you
it's
only
good to have
the,
clean living places. So India is
of
known for
course.
not having like clean living places.
Mhm.
China's known for smog because they have so many, emissions in coal plants. I mean, okay, I get it. We don't want to be exposed to that stuff as much as possible, but we also have to balance energy needs, food needs, and if they're
Micah,
not going to play ball, why are we playing
yes,
so
and at the same
ball?
time, we are the ones that are building those factories in China. So it's
Mm-hmm.
the Western countries who are. Why aren't we, if we, so it's the same like with IKEA. Do you remember the example with
Right.
stolen? It's the same like I'm an ecologist in my country. I care about the climate change in my country. I'm not doing this in my country, but then I'm going to China and I'm doing all of this, and then I'm saying, "Wow, China is the bad one." Okay, so then stop doing it in China and try to be sufficient with your new methods, right? If you have
Uh-huh.
new methods of doing things, do it like this and don't go to China anymore.
Hmm.
Otherwise, it's like hypocrisy.
Yeah, it's a big hypocrisy because they're jumping ship.
Hypocrisy.
They're going, I love the way you say things differently. It's fine. It's good. Um, Not all of us speak four languages. You know, you do. And
Yeah.
it's so when I look at they go all this stuff they send it to China and and then that's where all the, emissions and smog and energy
Yeah.
is. That's why they're also going to China, because they got all this energy over there. Like, but in
Mm-hmm.
America, we don't have not nearly enough. And I know Donald Trump's trying to work towards that, but
Yeah.
energy is the number one goal, to
Mm-hmm.
production and driving down costs. Um, but that's going to lead us into our next topic, about what I think about inflation and why the affordability crisis is by design. So when I look at the global initiatives for reducing housing costs or energy costs, I hear all these politicians and people in government, they're always talking about doing it, but they never
Mm-hmm.
actually do it. Uh, and so, but then they're also importing millions of people into their countries, ours included, the last administration, the UK. We'll talk about the UK later. And it drives up housing. These people, they're coming into the country, they're getting on government programs, the taxpayers are paying for it, and it just creates a cycle. They need more people to come in for more government
Mm-hmm.
programs, drives up costs, drives up energy, drives up inflation, food, all of that stuff. But then what's the government do? They say, oh, well, we can offer, a program to help you. They
Mm-hmm.
put the people that they brought in on those programs. Then the people that live there can't get on the programs as easy. But they're looking for relief. So what's the relief? And that's where I think we're trying to, like, almost all countries simultaneously are doing this. Australia included, Europe, um,
Mm-hmm.
the United States was doing it. Except for other countries that are apparently smarter than us that don't want, refugees, like all the
Mm-hmm.
countries, that the refugees pass through to get to these Western countries. Um, it's creating like socialism. Socialism is going to be the relief that people are going to. Look at New York.
Mm-hmm.
They just elected a socialist mayor,
Mm-hmm.
and then he's
And
talking about free programs.
yes, yes, he's talking about these free programs that are not sustainable at all.
Hmm.
So these programs are not sustainable. And do you remember our candidate in Romania who was elected, and then the government, not the government, I mean the judges decided that he will not be president. It was the same system. Like he was promising so many things that are not sustainable, and people were believing him because they want a change.
Hmm.
So the people are pushed so much these days. They're searching for socialism.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's like the relief that they need because the
Hmm.
government has spent unwisely. Like if the government was me, the government would be fining me for negligence, because I haven't been able to take care of my people, my bills, my children, whatever. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? They'd be
sure.
looking at me, they'd be trying to take my kids away. They'd be, if I was acting like
Hmm.
governments of the world, the previous administration here in the United States, Europe right now, and when you drive up the costs of food, housing, overall inflation, people need relief. Well, if the government's like, oh, well, we can offer this relief, but we just need to tax you just a little bit more. The UK just did this. They just released a new budget statement. They said that they weren't going
Yeah.
to tax people, and then they just taxed the crap out of them.
Yeah. It's the same
Um,
in Romania. It's the same in Romania after the elections. They said
yeah.
that we, the people, have to just have cuts and pay more taxes, and then they are very well paid, and they're getting. In Romania, is really bad with the corruption. So in Romania, these people in power are getting so many benefits from the state. The politicians are getting so much money from the state. The judges, the same. So they're getting pension, they're getting salaries, they're getting, for example, if they go and retire, they're gonna get a bonus of 180,000 euros. Can you imagine that?
Is that for life per year, or is it just in one payment?
Once in a
Okay.
lifetime when you retire, it's a bonus. I want one, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So that bonus is from my money, and then the pension is like, I don't know, over 10,000 euros, and then they can work again, and they get to thousands of dollars or euros every month. And the people are taxed for this, for their
Hmm.
salaries. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's
I mean,
really
that's the
bad.
same thing with like congressional, people in the United States. They go and then they stay in there and then they do insider trading and then they do these things. And then the people, the taxpayers pay not only for the
Mhm.
programs that we don't want, sending our money out of the country, all of these things that don't benefit us, paying for illegals, all the people that shouldn't be in the United States. And then we have to pay the salaries of like people in Congress for life
Mhm.
after a certain period of time.
Yeah.
Um, and
I
that
mean, in Romania, in Romania, if you've been a politician in the government or in the cameras, like a senator or something like this, or a deputy, you only for 4 years. Let's say this is the smallest amount, just one mandate, right?
Mhm,
You get money all of your life and security as well, and a lot
mhm.
of money. Yeah, and a lot of
So
other benefits.
And then we talk about how like our government keeps getting bigger because they spend this money, right? Not just
Yes.
on the politicians, but on the programs that they
Mhm.
promise. Some of the programs help Americans. In my case, some of them help people in other countries or fund, the BBC or,
Yeah.
other news agencies across the globe. I'm like, what are we doing? That doesn't help
Hmm.
me. They're like, oh, it helps democracy and all these things. And I'm like, that's influence. That's like, you're trying to control somebody else. It's all control.
Hmm.
And that's what I think irritates me the most is because we look at, the drive up of energy, uh, food, housing, and it's all the government's fault.
Hmm.
But
They are very.
I have to work harder. My wife has to work harder. Our kids are going to have to work harder. Most 20 somethings now are working 2 to 3 jobs just to make ends meet with roommates.
Hmm.
They can't afford to live, you know. And then what do? They need the relief. The relief is like, oh, they can get on welfare, they can get on food stamps, SNAP in America. Like they get on these welfare programs, but who pays for that? The people that are still working. And but what
Hmm.
happens eventually is that what I
It's
think
gonna
happens
crash.
is it's going to crash. Nobody's going to be working. Everybody's going to be on these programs, but nobody's going to be able to fund the programs because nobody's working to pay the taxes that go to
Yeah.
these things. And the people that are rich enough will just run away from
We're
paying
gonna get
taxes.
richer. They're gonna get richer, as
Yeah,
always.
they're going to get richer or they'll go to like a tax haven, they'll disappear, they'll offshore their money,
Hmm.
whatever. So they don't have to be the only ones paying taxes. If
Hmm.
everybody's on the state payroll essentially for food, energy, housing. That's straight up like government. I don't know if that's like the ultimate communism or the ultimate socialism, but like um it's crazy to think that all of the Western countries are literally doing the same thing. And now that Donald Trump's in office, he's trying to change that trajectory and everybody's attacking him for it.
Hmm.
That's crazy.
Yes, it is. In Europe, uh, it's very, very hard to understand what's happening, Micah.
We believe in the Constitution that we believe this isn't a democracy, as they always like to say, democracy, democracy, democracy. But we live in a constitutional republic, not in a straight up democracy. Though I'm sure they would love for it to be a democracy because then it's mob rule, and then once you get in power, it's really hard to change that power structure. That's why we have a constitutional republic, so that way you can't
Mm.
hold too much power too long, but it seems as if for the last couple of administrations before Donald Trump came into office and then um he came and disrupted everything
Yeah,
that
he destroyed their plans. Yeah.
yeah, he destroyed the plans. Like I mean, but what's the plan? Is it to create that, obviously you'd have two worlds, two governments, right? We'd have the Western type governments, which would be the United States, Canada, um
Hmm.
and then probably the UK, most of Europe. And then you'd have other countries. You'd have like maybe more than two governments, like Southern government, so Mexico and down. You'd have, Russia, China, Iran, that, group together.
Yeah.
You'd have three governments running everything,
Mm.
trying to control, trying to tax more programs here, this, there. You know what I mean? It's just
Horrible.
Yeah, it seems really bad.
So in Europe, we are used to, with the socialism because, as I was trying to say earlier, it's center right, center left. Then you have the middle, then you have the progressists, and so on, and far right, far left, the extremists, right? And
Okay.
then on the center left, you're gonna have socialist democrats. So this is where the state takes care of the people. It's not a bad concept. Like we are paying the taxes, but the state is giving the taxes back somehow to us, like free school, free healthcare, and a lot of other good things for us. So socialism, if you're using it in a democracy, is not a bad thing at all. Actually, I really believe in socialism when the people are poor. You know,
Mm,
because if you bring a liberal or like a center right government when the people are poor, they're gonna take measures for the business men, and it's not gonna work for the poor people, you know. So
mhm,
at this point in Europe, the socialism should work, but it's not anymore because they're trying to be progressive. People just don't want this. You have these huge taxes. You know what, Micah? What's happening now? It's the result of two things. They're not excluding each other, but first maybe they're incompetence. They don't know what they're trying to do something, but they don't know what,
mhm,
or they have a very diabolic plan.
mhm,
Because getting since COVID, it was the COVID, then they started to raise taxes and everything started to go up. And then the Ukrainian war started, and then they said, okay, everything is gonna get more and more expensive because of the war. I don't understand why. So I don't understand why because Ukraine is not a part of the European Union, so we
mhm,
didn't get anything from them. So why we didn't get energy from there? We didn't get anything from there. They're
mhm,
not in the food. You know, we have like specific rules about the food. They don't
mhm,
follow those rules, so we didn't get food from them. But after the war, we started to have food from Ukraine in Europe, all over Europe.
mm,
It's crazy because they don't follow our rules. They can put anything in that food and give it to us, you know?
mhm.
So I really don't understand what's happening, but the prices in Europe are crazy to everything. And they announced that in January it's gonna be another one, another uh what's that called? Like when you raise the taxes. So it's gonna
Yeah,
be
tax hike. Yeah.
yeah.
And so like what's the solution, right? Because like if a government's going to keep taxing people to oblivion and people have to keep working and working, there's only 24 hours in a day. People got to sleep, people got to eat, people got to spend time with their families and be home.
Mhm.
If we're working, like I mean 30 hours, in 24 hours, it's impossible. But you get the idea. If we're mentally working, 30 hours in that 24-hour period, or we're getting, 4 hours off, and then we got to go to work, between two split jobs. I don't know. It just they're they're guiding us to communism in America, and America's not a communist country. So it's not widely accepted here,
Yeah,
or liked.
I don't think it's gonna work. I don't think the communism is gonna work in America.
Okay.
Just like it's not gonna work in Europe either, because communism is different from the socialism. Socialism is something, communism is something really bad. So when you have dictatorship, that's
Hmm.
what communism is. So it's not gonna work. It's like North Korea, that's communism.
Mm. Yeah.
So I don't think it's gonna work. I mean, people will never accept it, but maybe as we as Romanians, for example, accepted it, believing that it's gonna be something great for our country, and it was great from many points of view, we might be so desperate to accept it again. Maybe they are trying to get us so desperate to accept like this savior program for
Mm-hmm.
the people. Because
I
this is
agree.
how communism was. There were the liberals in Europe, and then the communists came and they said, it's gonna be great for the people. We are for the people. We are with the people, with the normal, with the workers, with and so on, you know? And people said, okay, we want this. So they died for the communists to be in Romania, for example, you know?
Hmm.
And then the dictatorship started, and it was bad from many points of view, but it was great from another point of view because Romania became the only country in the world without external debts. So we paid all our external debts. We were exporting a lot, producing a lot. We were a very, very rich country. Probably this is why they couldn't stand us anymore at one point, you know. And people in this you have this safety, like a safety globe on you. People were safe, kids were safe. You wouldn't see pedophiles, you wouldn't see anything like this. It was safe, you know. But then you have the other part when you don't have the freedom to speak, you don't have the freedom to work, you don't have the freedom to anything. Like you can never trade your freedom to anything. That's my opinion
Mm.
after living in communism. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's crazy because like I mean, New York's on its way. I mean, twice over,
Mhm.
Muslims
Yeah.
and socialism. I mean, and that's like the start.
Mhm.
That's the entry point. And the
Yes.
crazy part is like we've got these, and we're gonna switch off topic here, but we got these Muslims in Minnesota that came in, Somalians. It's a big Somalian community, and they've
Hmm.
been found out to be stealing billions of taxpayer dollars. You know, just scamming the system, sending it back to Somalia. Ilhan Omar constantly professes her allegiance to Somalia rather than America, and how much she hates America. And I remember back in the day, like when the Iraq and Afghanistan kicked off, people were going off to fight this war to
Yeah.
not have to fight it in the United States of America. But look
Mhm.
what the Biden administration did. They brought them in, and now, I want to give a shout out or a, prayer or let me just give a moment of silence here for a second. So a few days ago, two National Guard members were shot by an
Yeah.
Afghan national who actually was staying in this state where I live, Washington State, in a town, a city like 40 an hour and 15 minutes, 40, depending on how fast you drive, away from here, drove all the way across the United States, pulled up with a revolver and shot two National Guard members. One died, or it has passed. Female. I think she was 20 years old. And then the other
Mhm.
one is in critical. He's still fighting. But she two headshots with a revolver. Um, he used to work for the CIA. Then he started working for like, Democrat organizations and stuff like this. Um, and so we've got these people that came into this country and now they shot two National Guard members. So there's the danger of that. So you've got
That- it-
we fought them over there so we wouldn't have to fight them here, but now it looks like we're going to have to fight them here. Um, Mass migration drives up the cost of housing, food, energy because they get on programs that taxpayers have to pay for. And then when
Yes.
taxpayers try to get on them, they can't get on it. Um, it just creates this entry point for socialism. New York, I'm sure, Seattle, just elected, I believe,
Really?
basically a socialist mayor. Yes.
Mm.
Um, and so it's going to be interesting to see because like we're at a point right now where most humans are docile. I mean, you got Antifa stirring up problems, you got BLM that was stirring up problems. And I think a lot of that was just people just wanted to get out and destroy stuff or rob stores or
Mhm.
whatever. If we get to a point where, like this stuff starts creeping in, it's going to creep in slow. And that's what I said in the last podcast is like they always whittle away at little things here and there. And then eventually, your little circle gets really, really, really small. And then what? You can't fight back.
Yeah.
Um, and
Sometimes we
then
don't even realize. I mean, you just think that is something like doesn't have anything to do with anything here, and something that doesn't have anything to do with anything here, and then they just come and get you like this.
yeah, like messing with the food supply.
Hmm.
You had a topic that you wanted to bring up. I'm not too familiar with it. I did see a couple of clips on this, but I'm going to let you fire away.
Actually, it has a lot to do with the topic we are finishing now. So it's
Oh,
the
perfect.
problem that it's happening in England, and England was for everyone. I'm not sure for the Americans, but in Europe, it's like you're looking up to them. You're just seeing them like a monarchy, like a strong country. They've been helping so many countries rising up. They've been colonized so many countries, but helping those countries to get of the poor situation they were in and becoming civilized, so everyone is then we don't talk about the music, the culture, everything England has. And now you see them in this situation like where they have this huge amount of Muslims coming in, right?
Mhm.
Just like the whole Europe, just like over there. So the same situation. So I've seen the interview with Tucker Carlson and Piers Morgan. I love them both. It was great.
Hmm.
And they were talking about this. I mean, Tucker Carlson was in England and he was horrified by what he found, like how London looks like. So you don't have, you're not gonna find, and I have friends living in England. They said we are moving away from London because we don't have any white people anymore in there. It's not because of the racism. They just,
Right. Yeah.
just Europe is made of white people. Other parts of the world are made of different kind of people, like
Hmm.
Christian people. So I've been hearing Piers Morgan saying that it's only 46% of Christians in England now, and I've been rewinded so many times trying to see, did I hear it well? This is huge. This is huge. I mean, it's for me, hearing it, it was horrifying. You know,
Hmm. Hmm.
how did this happen? And then Tucker Carlson said that until 2063, it's gonna be the whites are gonna be a minority. And when I'm saying whites, I'm saying like Christian European people. You know,
Hmm.
not
Yeah.
Muslims, not coming from the Eastern countries.
Right. That's crazy to think.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, and that's what you get when you import, millions of people that are not from, your geographic area that don't want to assimilate.
Yeah.
Then they come in and then they start, converting people. They start setting up mosques. They start setting up, street prayers to show dominance, and it's just interesting to see. But if Europe doesn't get on board with mass deportations,
Mm.
they are going to, by way of rape or murder, be like removed. And I think a lot of it has to do with, like, for some reason in the last 8 years, people have been like running around like having white hate against white people.
Yeah.
And then like white self-hate. They do like they
Yeah.
don't like
That's true.
themselves because they're white. I'm like, you guys are insane. What is
I mean,
wrong with you?
Tucker Carlson said exactly the same thing. Why are you hating yourselves? Why don't you want to have kids and become, I mean, why don't you have a legacy after yourselves, right? They don't have any kids anymore. And that's happening in Europe, all over the Europe. So the Muslims doesn't mind if they have a lot of kids because they are getting a lot of money from the government for it, you know?
Correct. Hmm.
We have to work and we cannot afford to have more than one or two kids.
Hmm.
So of course they're gonna have 10 kids, we're gonna have one or two. Did I ever tell you about the Roma people? I'm not allowed to say gypsies, but they're gypsies from I don't know where are they coming from, but they're gypsies.
Okay.
On my street, on my grandmother's street. So when I left the street when I was a kid, there were two of them, and we were around eight, like, you know. And now they are the fourth generation. So the ones that are my age are grandparents.
Hmm.
So and now we have 34 kids, only kids from that families.
Hmm.
Can you imagine how many of them are? And we only have one kid each other. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, and I think speaking
Crazy.
specifically to Britain, didn't they just uncap the two-child cap? But that doesn't really help the British people. Keir Starmer's like, oh, it'll help British people and their families, and he uses a lot of words that sound like he's helping people, and he
No, it's
wants to
not.
sound
No,
smart.
people are
He's a
no.
complete idiot. It's not
Yes.
helping the white British population. And he considers all these people that he's brought in on these boats and all these immigrants and migrants or whatever you want to call them. He considers them all British. I'm like, that's not true. That's not true. They're not
Yeah,
they're
they're
not
not.
the
Yeah,
British people.
sure.
You've
Hmm.
uncapped this. So now all of your people that you've brought in, the Muslims, half through your three plus kids are now getting paid on those three plus kids versus, the British are only be able to afford one or two because they're not on government programs. Again,
Hmm.
a gateway into, socialism. The UK might think that they're smart. They're going to have like a white elite and then all of this like diverse
No,
lower
no.
class. But what's going to
It's gonna
happen?
change. Yeah.
It's gonna bite them in the butt because Muslims, they get into office.
Hmm.
Their entire book, the Quran, tells them, to kill the infidel, Christian, Jew, Hindus, whatever, right? It's okay to rape anybody else that's not Islamic. And then they go out and then they get into office. And then they start implementing rules based off of
And
that,
they're
favor their own
yeah,
kind. Same thing's
sure.
happening in Minnesota. They got in the office, now they're favoring their own kind. They're not, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's crazy. But back
Yes,
to
it is.
you, with more of the with the podcast. Tell me more about it.
I mean that was kind of all. I mean, for me it's hard. We've been talking about this a lot of times. I just cannot understand not even 1% of what's going on.
Hmm.
I really don't understand why would you give up your own population for another population which is so different. I mean, it's not like you brought Australians in or
Hmm.
Canadians or something. You're bringing such a different, hugely different culture with huge different ideas about what a woman is, about what freedom is, about what religion is, and so on. So it's
Hmm.
such a huge shift, you know,
Hmm.
and it's
I mean,
moving
Australia is
fast.
doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
They've taken on millions of them, and like, I mean, they like the government in the UK and Australia. They throw around Islamophobia like it's it's like candy. Like they're throwing rice on the ground for birds. Islamophobia, Islamophobia. But the problem is that when you have Muslims raping kids,
Mm-hmm.
killing, carjacking, stealing stuff, um, the pro-Palestine crowd in America that's running around like attacking people, physically attacking
Yeah.
people. Now you're allowed to protest, but like attacking people. When you have this, and then or the Afghan guy who was a CIA asset, worked with the Democrats, and then ended up shooting two National Guard members. They brought in hundreds of thousands of these people, unvetted. The Biden administration did this unvetted. We've got an email that says, "Hey, look, we're just bringing them in. They're not really they're not really vetted.
Wow,
Planes,
that's
bus, planes and planes of these people into the interior of the country. Now, some of them worked with us, but that doesn't mean that they're our allies, right?
no.
They work, what I mean? You can work with somebody in another country to achieve a similar goal, but that doesn't mean that if they won't stab you in the back.
Sure.
And so you have to be careful about that. But I mean, it it just seems that these governments don't get it, but I think it's because they can use it to drive towards, communism. They can use it to drive towards more people on government programs. They can we talked about replacement theory, where, they have to replace the population. And I mean, in these locations, Africa, the Middle East, they're and the people that they're bringing in, these migrants, right? Um, and this isn't, I'm not trying to be racist with this. What I'm saying is like the IQ for these
Yeah.
underdeveloped countries, the intelligence level, um,
Hmm.
is
I mean,
different.
it's a fact. It's a fact.
Yeah,
Everything now is like you're racist or you're not. No, it's just facts. Facts. We're
right.
talking
And
about
that's what,
facts.
and that's why I try to say it as much as possible. And the reason why we're talking about this migration in Europe, and I want to talk one more thing about the podcast that I saw, is that um, you can't speak up against it,
Mm-hmm.
because then you get in trouble, especially in the
Hmm.
UK. The UK is like arresting people for online
Oh yeah.
stuff way more than
Oh yeah.
Russia and China is
Yeah.
right now.
Yes.
Holy
Yes.
crap.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
They're like on par with North Korea.
Yes.
What's going
It's
on?
crazy actually. Yeah. I don't know what's going on, and I'm a little bit afraid of the future. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I would be, because the European Union, Ursula, she's driving forward with the new intelligence apparatus for the EU, which will, and then
Mhm.
what was it? There's some like online safety act or something that the EU is
Oh
going to
yeah.
do something.
They
It's
can
something
read
new.
everything. Yeah, they can read all of your messages, anything you write on your phone, they can read it. But you can theirs cannot be read. Their
Exactly. We talked
messages
about
cannot be
that.
read. Yeah.
Politicians making rules for everybody else, but they usually have a carve out for themselves. Isn't that
Mm-hmm.
lovely? So on to that, I saw an article where an individual had traveled from the UK to the United States and shot a firearm on vacation, on holiday.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he got back, he was arrested because he posted it online because it could be offensive and scary. I'm like, he's on
Yeah.
vacation. He wasn't even in the country. And you're
Mm-hmm.
now like arresting this guy. Like
Yes.
absolutely insane. Freedom of speech has gone down the toilet. Now, this is the snippet I think I sent you from that interview where basically Tucker Carlson said, and I'm not going to say it on here because of I don't want this to get like banned off of YouTube. He has his own platform. We don't have our own platform. So he says the F word, um,
Mm-hmm.
and then he says, "Why can't you say it?" And I would say it, just not on YouTube. Just because it's freedom of speech. The only problem is that Piers Morgan can't say it. I could tell that he was like stumbling around because I think he's afraid to get, even if he's a personality, I think he was afraid that by putting it out, knowing that people can get arrested in other countries,
Mm-hmm.
that he would himself would be arrested for saying that one word because it would be offensive. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the online censorship in the UK is absolutely atrocious, but it goes only after the white British population, right? They're really
Yes.
not
So, yeah.
targeting.
I mean, when Tucker Carlson, he was saying that when he came to London and he was in the airport, he was very scared that he's gonna be arrested as well because he's talking a lot of things, you know.
Yeah.
And he said it was not like it was not like the Palestinian lady that tried to control whatever it's called, like when they control you to see what you have, what you're bringing to the country, right? It
Mhm.
was just white people like me who were trying to implement this, who were trying to scare me, and he didn't understood why. And then Piers Morgan told him about that comedian. I think we talked about it, who made a joke online, and then when he got
Oh
back
yeah.
into England, he was arrested as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, so Tucker Carlson was a little bit afraid to go in
Mhm.
England this time. Yeah,
Well, I mean, I'm not even sure. Like Kaya wants to go to England. I've always wanted to go and
yeah,
sightsee,
me
but
too.
now that we've got this podcast, I don't think I can go until something changes. Like, I mean, but how much regulation can you have? And the only reason why they have this regulation is because they want to spy on people that are going to try to attack the government for, whatever Muslim uh coddling the government's doing. They want to make sure that anybody that could go against them uh is silenced, is captured, right? Even in online posts, because if they can come after you for, you know, posting something online or hate speech or whatever, they can start controlling the narrative because people will start being afraid. They'll start self-silencing, they'll start enslaving themselves.
Mm,
And for me, in my brain, when I feel gaslighted or when I feel controlled, I actually get like a pain across my forehead. So like when my ex-girlfriend, the narcissistic, covert narcissistic chick, she cheated on me and then, her like for some reason we were having conversations with her and her parents were sitting here like trying to tell me like all of these things all at the same time, like how it was my fault and how this and that and all these things. I could feel my forehead like it was like a burning warm sensation, like my frontal lobe was just like, wow, so you need a defense mechanism. It's going up, like, and that's why I didn't believe any of it.
mhm,
Gaslighting doesn't really work on me. I can see through pretty much all of it, but like I could really feel it like right here in the middle of my forehead. I was just like, it was like on fire when they were trying to gaslight me, and I was like, that's not right, that's not right, that's right, that doesn't make sense, that's not the timeline, that's not what happened, this is right. um, and then I realized it was like a gaslighting gangbang. They were trying to like attack.
the wrong kind of gangbang, right?
Yeah, yeah. And so yeah, I see the British government is literally doing the same thing to its people. They're enslaving their people. And eventually, um, when the Muslims, I mean, you've got these Christmas markets. Let's talk about Christmas markets across Europe.
Oh
You've
yeah.
got barricades all up. You've got barricades up. You've got police presence. You've got markets being canceled. Not because Christians are going to attack it, not because white people are going to attack the markets. It's because you got people, Muslims, knife attacks, bus vans, they like,
Yeah.
but the
Just
government's
driving
not
over
doing
people.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember last year when we wanted to go in Germany in that market, Christmas market, and one day before? So from this point of view, I'm so lucky because it happened before, but those people were not lucky. So I'm not saying it was a happy incident, but for us it was because we weren't there. Can you imagine if we were there? So We were supposed to go there on a date, and one day before, some crazy Muslim guy walked with a car all over the people in the market.
Hmm.
So of course we didn't go anymore. So the market was closed. That market stayed closed, so it won't open again
Hmm.
soon. So it's not in Germany and France. It's not very safe. I think England as well, but in Romania it's very safe, and in Denmark as well. So it's still we still have some countries where you have
Have some of the safety net. Yeah. I mean, because like I mean, even in the UK, they've changed like Christmas tree to holiday tree. Like what? All
oh yeah,
these
that's
things to
crazy.
not
Yeah,
be offensive.
yeah.
All these things to not be
Mhm.
offensive. But they're sitting here reading the Quran saying, kill the infidel, you know, push Islam, you know, get into
I
office,
mean,
you know.
Micah, the Quran is not saying it. So the Quran is not saying this.
Hmm.
That's their traditions saying it. And
Hmm.
then you have a lot of great Muslim people, but not all of them are crazy, you know. Many of them are
Sure.
normal people. And they said, we are not bothered by you saying Christmas. So they don't care about it. I don't know where did they come from with this stupid idea that they are getting offended. They are not getting offended at all. Most of them just don't care. Many of them I know, I have Muslim people who are celebrating Christmas with us. So they just normally we people we are getting along, most of us, we are getting along, but when these governments and politicians are coming into play, we're not getting along anymore. So yeah, that's crazy.
Wow. I mean, I think that there's got to be some, I swear I had a list. I'll have to find it. But it basically outlines like all of the different things that the Quran allows in terms of like, you know, you can enslave women that are not Islamic if you capture, you know, them. You can, you know, make them sex slaves. I've got it, you know. I mean, and obviously imams are saying the same thing. You can like
Yeah,
attack people, you know, obviously Christmas isn't like a main uh, isn't the factor. It's the fact that they're Christians, right? And they want to remove as many Christians as possible so they can spread Islam. You know, you've got people on uh, imams saying Islam will reach every house in America. You've got
yeah.
mosques popping up all over Texas, California, obviously Minnesota. We've and like I said, a lot of people went to war in Iraq and Afghanistan to fight them over there, so we wouldn't have to fight them here. But it looks like America and Europe, America under the previous administration, and Europe is continuing to do this mass migration. I mean, you've got all these Africans uh, that you've brought in, not you specifically, but they brought into Europe.
You're,
Now, well, look at Africa right now. You got Somalia, you got ISIS, like an ISIS affiliate in Somalia. The United States just launched a huge attack against in the last
yeah.
couple of days. You've got the Nigerian conflict right now, where you've got Muslims running around, kidnapping 12 girls out of a, what do you think they're doing with them, right? The same thing that the Muslims and the migrants are doing to the British girls
Mhm.
that they
And
try to
my
cover.
I mean, we should search for what the Quran says, but from my Muslim friends, I know that the Quran is not saying this. The Quran says that you can get married with Christian women. You have to respect the Christian woman. Don't kill, don't do this or don't do that. This one is the extremist side of Muslims. I'm not sure it's in the Quran, but we should. I mean, it would be interesting to see what the Quran says, because many times you can hear these extremists from any side of not only Muslims, anywhere
Sure,
you can hear this.
sure.
I mean, a Christian priest told me once, 90% of what's happening in a funeral, it's like a tradition made. It's not from the Bible. That doesn't have anything to do with the Bible.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean,
So,
we've also talked about a Christian violence as well,
Mhm.
right? So, I mean, not to this extent because it's not currently happening. So it's not a pop topic. I mean, that's why we keep talking about it because we keep seeing it pop up in the news. But like in terms of Christian violence, it has happened in the past. I mean, the
Yeah,
British government, majorly Christian, like was huge when the British Empire
yeah.
expanded, like all the way
Yeah.
down into India and
Mhm.
even into the colonies here in America, even though they were trying to escape, right? So when you look at that, Christians can also be violent and devastating, but that doesn't mean for white people that they need to like, hate their heritage or their religion.
Yeah.
No, white people shouldn't be paying reparations to black people in America because most black people
Hmm.
aren't,
Yeah.
slaves. Most of them aren't.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about human trafficking and slave trade, so there are people that are. So that's unfortunate still. And interestingly, slave trade is huge in Africa still.
It still is.
The Middle East it's huge there too. Um, but for some reason, white people are the problem, and I don't think that's true. Not right now.
Hmm. Yeah. Me neither.
We've got to have some level of self-preservation. Um, and it would be nice if um, all human life, because obviously you have to have a food chain. All human life, if people could just get along, right? Like if I had a Muslim next to me, that they weren't trying to kill me, right? And I get angry with people that are trying to hurt other people. Not
Hmm.
everybody. When I see these articles online, right, I get mad at Keir Starmer for trying to censor people, or his government, or like the Office of Budget just came out and said they were going to tax people. I just saw an interview where like some lady was pounded on him because he lied. She was like, "You're not truthful. That's not truthful." And he's just sitting there like running all these words and trying to sound like helpful. And
Hmm.
and he looks concerned on his face. It's concerned face. But she's basically like, "Yeah, you're not telling the truth. You said you weren't going to tax, then you tax. Um,
Hmm.
why should we trust you?" Right? You shouldn't. Don't trust him. And that's why I can't go to England because I said that.
Yeah, I mean, in Romania, we have this peace between us. We have a lot of Muslims here. They came here, they conquered us somehow, and they stayed here for a while. And then a lot of them left, but many of them stayed here. And we have such a peaceful life together. But then when like the agenda starts to push and say that one is bad, that one wants your bad, you start slowly by slow you start to believe it and you start to have fights with them. I hope it's not gonna happen in Romania because we really have a great life with other we have a lot of minorities in here and we don't have any kind of problems. So I hope
Well,
it's gonna stay
are
like this.
these have they like assimilated into the culture of
No,
Romania?
no, no.
No?
I mean, of course, they are Romanians, they speak
Sure.
Romanian, and but they are still Muslims. They are keeping their traditions. They are not eating pork, for example. They are not celebrating Christmas on time. They are doing the Ramadan and so on. So they are following all their culture, and they are
Hmm.
allowed to. It's the same with all the minorities. We have minorities from all over the world, so it's the same from Macedonia, from Armenia, from many, many parts, Greeks and so on. So we are allowing them to do whatever they want. And even when we had the communism, it was the same. So everyone was allowed to believe what they want, do what they want, as long as you're not bothering anyone. We're just getting along.
Hmm. I
The,
think
the
that's the
getting
key.
along, the getting along thing changed when the politicians started to have a different agenda and started to go on television and say, those ones are bad, those ones are bad. You have to fight with those ones, in the
Mhm.
peaceful countries like Romania.
I will point this out that a lot of times the people that are telling you who to fight, they're not actually fighting themselves.
No,
They're the
true.
it's you know what I
Coward.
mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, go do that, and then listen to me, do this, do that, but then they're not actually in the fight themselves. They
sure.
stand back and just let
Yeah.
other people do the dirty work.
Hmm.
So that's also not good.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. I'm not very optimistic about it.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll keep an eye on the UK. UK, we hope you're okay over there.
Hmm.
We'll keep an eye on Europe. And then I'm going to keep an eye on the United States because it'll be interesting to see, if more and more incidents, pop up like this Afghan former CIA asset
Let's
on
hope
this, like,
not. Yeah.
he's like assassin. He was like on a kill squad.
Yeah. And
And then
he was trained by you as well, so yeah.
yeah. And so here's my thought on it. There's two things, and I was going to end, but I'll go into this. Is that one, um, he and I'm not justifying him doing this action, but I'm recognizing it. There's a movie that came out in the 80s called Predator. It stars Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh yeah,
And
I know the movie.
right?
Yeah.
And then Predator 2 came out and also I think it was the
Mhm.
90s and had Danny Glover and it's interesting because the Predators and they just released a new one, Predator Badlands, right? The Predators always hunt prey that have like weapons, right? So they don't
Oh
actually
yeah.
go after, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
non-combatants, right? So
Mm-hmm.
he didn't go after civilian targets. He went after military hard targets, right? And I'm not justifying his actions. What I'm saying is that, that could have been in his training, but that also could be his choice for targets because they
Mm-hmm.
weren't civilians. Now, um, but killing people is bad no matter what. So he shouldn't have done it. But
Exactly.
also, did they not stop this guy driving across the country? His wife knew, you know what I mean? There's no way his wife didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Democrat donors, prop this guy up. I don't know. You got that, but then also, if he overstayed his visa, he was allowed in the United States of America in 2021. He overstayed his visa. And if he knows that Donald Trump's going to be deporting people, he knows they're
Mm-hmm.
going to find him, right? They're going to find him. They're going to deport him.
Sure.
What's a
Yeah.
better way to stay in the United States of America? Go to jail, right?
But I think it's he's. I'm not sure. I mean, it wouldn't be fair to stay in like me if it's in jail in the United States. You're gonna pay for
Yes,
his staying in
exactly.
jail, for his food, for his sleep, for his water, whatever pills, medication, whatever is gonna be
Right.
paid by the taxpayers from America.
Right. And yeah, and that's another thing. So I think they're going to seek the death penalty for this guy, which is fine,
Mm-hmm.
but he could go before a judge and say, "Hey, I can't go back to Afghanistan because the Taliban will kill me because I helped you guys." And then judge will
Mm-hmm.
be like, "Oh yeah, yeah, okay." And then he'll
Yeah.
get to stay. So, um
Wow.
it's just a huge mess. And
Mm-hmm. Yes.
how many of these guys we got in the United States? How
Oh,
many? Right?
yeah.
And how many came across the southern border?
Mm-hmm.
It's very dangerous to have the prior administration let that many people unvetted, whether they're coming across the southern border, which they did by the millions, or whether they flew them into the country by planes by the thousands. It's
Mm-hmm.
very dangerous because it puts your people at risk of the
Sure.
country
Yeah.
the people you're supposed to be protecting. It puts them at risk, just like the UK is putting and Europe is putting their people at risk. And I don't agree with it.
It's hard to understand.
Well, thank you everybody for watching this episode. This is a little bit longer and I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Just we had a couple of topics. This will be good. Next week, we might be able to bring my wife on because we had an experience back home. We went to go visit her family that I think would be interesting to talk about. I'll keep it a secret
Mm-hmm.
until it comes up, but I think maybe we could get her to talk about it
Like
and I'll
we're
bring
gonna
her
talk
back on.
about if she agrees, we're gonna talk about family and legacy, and
Hmm.
it's different kinds of legacies. We're gonna talk
Hmm.
about it if she agrees. I hope so.
Yeah. Um, and then I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Do we have any announcements? During the holiday season, you may guys see a little break in some of our episodes, just so that we can spend time with family, travel. Cornelia is going to be traveling a lot. And then we'll try to get as many episodes out there as possible. Please don't forget to like the videos, subscribe to the channel, click the links in the description box below for our website. Also, please leave comments so we can argue with you, so we can chat with you, so we can get
Yeah.
back with you, and we'll see you in the next one.